Okay, hello everybody. I think we are live. Not quite sure. Doesn't really show. Let's see if I am. Kind of like, oh, it's stalled. Hello everybody. Oh my goodness. I'm so sorry. I have no idea what just happened. Everything. Do you guys see me now? Can you see me? Or is it still black screen? Um, can you guys see me? No, we hear you. Can you see me as well? Oh, perfect. Awesome. Perfect. Oh my goodness. I don't know. It's like I always come on here like half an hour before to make sure that everything is working properly. And then the minute I go live, something crashes. So, yeah, I apologize. So, welcome, guys. Welcome, ladies. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. It's going to be a good topic, and I hope it's going to be really, really helpful for you. And please let me know in the comments if it resonates, whatever I say. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions, if you can relate to anything that I'm going to be sharing with you. I want to hear. So let's get started because I do want to make sure that I end this on time because I really appreciate you being here and I value your time as well. So welcome everybody. Today let's talk a little bit about weight and chronic inflammation. It's such a big topic, and I think a lot of here are really struggling with weight and having issues with the weight gain. And just to be clear, I'm not talking about just a few pounds here and there that we're all struggling with at one point or another, the 3 to 5 pounds. I don't really care if I carry 3 to 5 pounds around my belly or not. What I'm talking about here tonight is the persistent weight gain of many, many pounds that come with chronic inflammation and the inability of losing it in the long run, even though we're trying everything we can to get the pounds off. And I'm talking about that kind of weight loss that is necessary for us to keep us mentally and emotionally well and happy as well. Something that is really starting to affect us in terms of always feeling bloated, our clothes don't fit anymore and at all. We're out of breath. That kind of weight that we're carrying around. So let me know in the comments if that resonates with you, if you have experienced that type of weight gain um, in your on your journey. I certainly have. I certainly have for many, many years, especially after my two pregnancies. I did gain a lot of weight. And so my two girls are exactly 2 years apart. So when I became pregnant with my second one, I still had a ton of weight on me from the first one. And so it was a real struggle. And afterwards, I really, really struggled. And really, that is when my health journey started, when I was diagnosed with Hashimoto's, um, right after my second pregnancy, really, I think. And so it was it's a critical issue. So clearly, diet plans don't work for the masses. I mean, I guess all of us in here have tried to diet, follow a certain diet for weight loss at one point in our lives, and it just didn't work. I mean, in the beginning it might help you get rid of some pounds here and there, but in the long term it doesn't work. It's not sustainable, and it's very frustrating. And so I had the same issues. I followed diets like that, and it just didn't work. Like, I just gave you a little bit of my story there. So it is just not simply as simple as calories in and calories out. Because if you're dealing with chronic inflammation, there is so much more that is happening inside your body that is preventing you from losing weight. So, um, because when we think about it, the nutrients that we need are so different for everybody, because everybody is bioidentical and has different needs in terms of nutrients. And when I say that, I mean, when we're dealing with chronic inflammation, we're dealing with a constant attack on our cells inside our bodies. We're dealing with something that is ongoing, and we're dealing with something that requires a lot of nutrients, because our immune system is constantly breaking down cells and tissues in our bodies, which requires us to have a lot of nutrients in our body in order to support our immune system, right? And so therefore, the calories in, calories out approach is not sustainable. It's not helpful. So also, so what is happening with weight when we experience chronic inflammation? How is that connected? And today I'm going to be talking about hormones. There's a lot of issues that come into play when chronic inflammation is ongoing. It can be um, poor digestion. It can also be dysbiosis. A lot of people are dealing with dysbiosis, which means an imbalance of good and bad bacteria, which is huge. It can also be detoxification pathways are overburdened. The liver is tired. The liver is not working properly, so that that can then hinder carb and fat metabolism. All of these things come into play when we're dealing with chronic inflammation. But one of the biggest things that I see is hormonal imbalances. and give me the hands up in the comments if you can relate, if you maybe have experienced some sort of hormonal imbalances on your journey. I'd like to see if that resonates with you, because tonight we're going to be diving a little bit into hormonal imbalances, and we're going to be talking about the 3 most common hormonal imbalances that are happening in our bodies. I don't, let me see. I'm just going to pull up my my Facebook account here just so that I see if there's any kinds of comments coming in, because I'm not sure if I can actually see them on StreamYard. Just one second. Okay, here we go. Okay, perfect. All right. So the first hormone I'm going to be talking about, and I'm going to let you guess, is so first of all, chronic inflammation increases hormonal imbalances, right? So cortisol, estrogen, progesterone, then also insulin and ghrelin. And we're going to be talking about 3 tonight. But before we do that, I want you to understand what hormones actually are. What kind of purpose do they have in the body? Hormones are messengers in your body. So hormones are messengers, and they send messages to your cells and to your tissue to perform certain tasks and duties. And the balance is very, very sensitive. So all of these hormones are really interdependent on one another. And you'll see in what I'm going to be telling you that this is the same when it comes to weight loss and hormone connection. So the hormones are messengers. And how does this pertain to weight gain? Well, think about it that way. So when you're experiencing chronic inflammation in your body, whether it be any kind of food triggers or toxic triggers or yeast overgrowth or parasites or whatever the trigger is, you are experiencing something that is putting your body into a state of stress. It's putting your body into a state of chronic stress, internal stress, not just the stress we're experiencing from the outside, but also from the inside, right? And so this stress requires a certain hormone to be produced or delivered into the body. And I was going to ask you guys, what do you guys think is the number 1 stress hormone that our body is then releasing in order to deal with this? So if anybody has here we go. If anybody has a idea, let me know in the comments. So the biggest stress hormone in our bodies is cortisol. It's cortisol, because think about it, cortisol is not only a stress hormone that is trying to deliver energy into your body to fight and flight. It also has a different purpose that comes into play in chronic inflammation, which is it's your natural anti-inflammatory drug that your body is producing for you, right? So whenever there's inflammation going on, cortisol is being delivered into the body in order to heal the wound faster, right? So, but if this turns into a chronic situation, like in chronic inflammation, cortisol doesn't stop coursing through your body. And so this coursing through your body is very destructive, because this cortisol is starting to break down tissues in your body. And by doing that, it releases sugar into your body, right? Just by nature, by default. So if you are having this internal stress because of your trigger that is happening, cortisol is coursing through your body and is delivering extra sugar into your body at all times, right? So now you can imagine what that means for your body on top of the chronic, on top of the triggers that you're experiencing. You're now also experiencing the high sugar that is coming into your body. The body has to deal with that. And so we all know that or blood can only have a certain amount of sugar in it, and it needs to be very, very stable within that range. And so what happens, the body is trying to put that sugar away, right, to put it back into the cells. And it does that with another hormone. And the second hormone I'm talking about is insulin, right? So now your body is starting to produce insulin, which takes all of the sugar and is trying to put that away into your cells. And you know what, with the sugar, it's like with that one guy that comes to your door and starts knocking on your door and say, let me in. I need to run to the bathroom very quickly. So the first couple of times you let him in. But if this person starts knocking on your door continuously, you're just going to start ignoring him. And that is exactly what the cells do too with the insulin, right? At one point, the cells say, hey, we have enough. We don't need anymore. We have enough energy. So please take your energy somewhere else. So they're not opening the gates anymore for the insulin, for the sugar to go into the cells in order to produce energy. So do you have a guess of where this insulin is now putting the sugar? Let me know in the comments if you have a guess where this um, energy is now going. Anybody? Anybody have a guess? No? Okay. Mm. So that extra sugar now is going to be, no, it's not the stomach. It's going to go into storage. It's going to go into fat cells, right? It's going to go into fat cells. So now think about it, right? So now we recap. Your body's under chronic stress because of triggers that it's reacting to: food, toxicity, parasites, whatever it is. So it's releasing cortisol because it's the natural anti-inflammatory. However, it's becoming chronic. Cortisol is coursing through your body. Cortisol is now releasing sugar into your body by breaking down tissue. And this sugar is now has to be put away into cells. At one point, the cells are full for energy. The rest of the sugar will be put into fat cells. Right. Does that make sense? So now you see how this is linked into your inability to lose weight if you are under chronic inflammation, if your body's under chronic inflammation. Right. And then there's one more hormone that I was going to mention as well is estrogen. So not only is cortisol the main driver of chronic disease, cortisol has also the ability to disrupt progesterone and estrogen balances in your body, and those two are very, very sensitive. And oftentimes that results into estrogen dominance. And I'm sure that a lot of you in here have heard that term before and maybe have experienced estrogen dominance in their lives. And it's something that is, it's very critical because estrogen is certainly something that in itself can cause inflammation if it's out of balance, because estrogen produces growth, right? And so we're looking into like nodules, and we're looking at cysts and all that kind of stuff. Could be estrogen related. So that in itself is also then another trigger that on top of everything else is creating even more inflammation. So let me know if that makes sense. I think that was really eye-opening for me when I looked into that for myself and started to really try to get my hormones under control in order to keep a healthy weight. And once the hormones are starting to balance out, you will see that weight loss will follow naturally, just because you are getting the hormones back into balance and you're also addressing inflammation. You are also lowering inflammation at the same time. And that brings me to my second part of my presentation tonight is I want to give you some key takeaways, some key components of a diet that can really help with weight management um, as a regular lifestyle and lowering inflammation when it comes to hormone imbalances. So number one, I would like to mention is fiber. Fiber is so critical for balancing hormones. Fiber has so many, so many benefits to us. It nourishes your microbiome. It nourishes the good bacteria. It scrapes out your colon. It really cleans out the colon, and with the colon, it cleans out toxins, right? And fiber, what it also does, some types of fiber have the ability to also latch onto worn out hormones, to latch onto them and take them with them out of the system by within the stool, right? And so these type of fibers are critical for us to implement in order to get this under control. And one of them is flax seeds. So flax seeds is amazing for that. And one of my favorite foods that is incredibly high in fiber are raspberries. So raspberries, I wrote it down to let you know, raspberries are a powerhouse when it comes to fiber. So 1 cup of raspberries gives you 8 grams of fiber, right? And I can honestly tell you that I have no issues eating 2 cups of raspberries a day. So if I eat 2 cups of raspberries a day, I already have my 16 grams of fiber. So now here's the thing with fiber. We should be getting 25 grams of fiber a day. Studies show that the standard American person on a standard American diet gets 11 to 14 grams of fiber a day, which is nothing, right? And so that is why I always say eat your fiber, the green leafy vegetables, raspberries, flax seeds are amazing and latching onto the estrogen, getting it out of the body. Because remember, the hormones are messengers. They're being used in your body. And then there's hormone metabolites, and those metabolites they need to be purged. Then you need to get rid of them. You need to get them out of the body, because if you don't, then those hormones are starting to recirculate into your system, which is another inflammatory factor. Okay, so increase your fiber to 25 grams fiber per day. If you don't know how to do that, reach out. I will help you with it. Number two is balancing your sugar. So you need to get off the sugar roller coaster to keep your hormones balanced. Like I talked to you about the insulin response, in connection with the cortisol, it's very important that we get the blood sugar stable. And there's certain ways of doing that, right? And it's not just by cutting out carbs. Carbs are not the bad guys. Carbs are good. Carbs, your body needs carbs for energy and so many other functions. But there are certain ways you can stabilize your blood sugar, and you can do that by pairing it with healthy fats and protein. So if you pair your carbohydrates, say if you eat a banana, then dip it in nut butter, right? That way, the sugar is going to be released much more slowly into the bloodstream, and it's not going to create the spike that you would typically see. Okay, so number two is balance your blood sugar, stay off the blood sugar roller coaster. And number three is something in the lifestyle aspect, which is so important, and that is sleep. Sleep is so important. So really make sure that you are creating a really good sleep hygiene. Because if you don't get quality sleep, your cortisol will go through the roof on top of the internal inflammation. So sleep is amazing in order to really bring down the cortisol levels in your body, whether that might be, blackout curtains, or wear those eye masks at night, or in a cool room, or anything that works for you, so that you get a good quality sleep in. So these are the three main factors, key components I wanted to share with you tonight in order to bring down the chronic inflammation and have weight loss follow. Do you guys have any questions? Is there anything that you want to ask? Did anything that I just said made sense to you? Was it helpful? Um, I know I gave you a lot of information, and sometimes it's overwhelming. For me, I talk about that every day, but for you guys, it might have been new information. So if there's anything you want to ask, go ahead, ask now. If not, then yeah, you can always comment later in under the video when I post it on the Facebook Live. So just to summarize it, yes, you're welcome. I'm glad it was helpful, Olivia. Just to summarize it, really, by addressing the inflammation in your body and working to bring down the inflammation, your weight will follow suit automatically. It will follow suit automatically, but you need to be aware of your triggers, and you need to know what is triggering the chronic inflammation inside your body. And then you need to really go in there and fix what is out of balance. And that is one of the really the key takeaways from tonight. Okay, so I will call it a night. And thank you so much for joining, everybody. I'm glad you were here. And yes, I will see you again next time. Have a good night.